Hello, welcome back to my channel. I'm JC and today's video is going to be a bit of a reaction to the unpopular writing opinions that I have seen in Kate's video, Alexa Dunn's video, and now Michelle's video. And I really was not going to touch this subject because, everyone is entitled to their own opinions, and we all have our opinions on things that may not be shared with others. Most likely won't be shared with others because, we're all our own people. But there were some reactions that I had like a visceral reaction to because I was just like, what? How dare you? Who hurt you as a child? I don't understand where you get that logic. So yes, I took the 5 most, how do I say this, egregious, unpopular writing opinions that I saw over the 3 videos. I think they were repeated in, there was a live stream. One of them is from the live stream. I don't know that I did see it in one of the videos, but I couldn't figure out which one it was that I saw it in, so I took it from the live stream. But it is a very, very, I have strong opinions about these five unpopular writing opinions. I only picked 5. There's some other ones that deserve an honorable mention, but they didn't give me a visceral, physical reaction like these 5 did. So I'm gonna get into the 5 in just a moment. I'm gonna do it in the countdown style because, when we get to the number 1, I think you'll understand why I feel like it is the most absurd opinion ever. But nevertheless, let's get into it. Okay, number 5.
Most writers who use plot structures to plan their stories, Save the Cat, Hero's Journey, etc., write poorly. The structures are a method of analyzing stories to show patterns repeated over time. They are not templates. If you use a plot structure as a template, oftentimes you don't understand the reason for each beat, so they don't work effectively. And everything in between the beats is basically filler. Study the plot structures to understand story, but please stop using them as templates for your stories.
Okay, so I was only turned on to Save the Cat because of this community in the first place. Had I not stumbled upon AuthorTube, I probably would have never even paid attention to the book. I have a lot of craft books, but honestly, I had only ever seen Save the Cat for screenwriting, and I'm not yet a screenwriter anyway, so it didn't appeal to me. So I've only used it one time. I plan on using it again, maybe, perhaps, and I'm really not. I think the reason this gave me such a reaction was not because I'm a person who is diehard story structure, because I'm not. There are the 3-act structures, there are the diagrams, there are the I can't think of all the names of the different structures there are at this moment, including Save the Cat. But I don't think using a story structure determines someone's level of writing. I think to assume that someone writes poorly because they need or just want to use a story structure to do so is I think to say someone can't write if they somehow, if they don't toss out all structures and feel like they need that solid structure behind them to write their story, it's so disrespectful to the writers out here. It just, how can you judge someone for using a story structure to write their novel? Perhaps it makes them write better, at least for the first draft. I I just don't understand why you think that structure is bad. Why you think structure means someone can't write effectively, or that the structure hinders them in some way. It doesn't. Um, I'm just gonna move on because it's not even the one that bothers me the most. So we'll move on from there. Number 4.
NaNoWriMo is incredibly toxic in the off the tube community.
In the words of Kate Cavanaugh.
How absolutely dare you?
How dare you? Who hurt you as a child? I don't think NaNoWriMo is toxic. Now, it could be fair to say that some of the pressures that we put on ourselves during NaNoWriMo could be a little unhealthy. But that is for each individual writer to know their limitations and to know what works and doesn't work for them, and when to, have a cutoff and have their boundaries. But to say Nano itself, the experience or the event itself is toxic, I think that's what kind of all pulls us all together in just the most unique way. And this community pulls itself together many times throughout the year, but none like Nano. Nano is special. Yeah. Number 3. Gotta start holding up the right hands, the right fingers.
First person narrative is lazy writing.
I'm just gonna let Michelle take this one because I'll show her carousel of first person narrative novels and let you be the judge and tell me that these are lazy writings.
Let's play first person novel roulette. You called Margaret Atwood's writing lazy.
So, The Great Gatsby is lazy? To Kill a Mockingbird, it's lazy writing? The Hate You Give, it's lazy writing, really? Handmaid's Tale. Granted, not actually read the book Handmaid's Tale, although I want to, having seen the show, but Margaret Atwood also had a hand in writing the scripts for The Handmaid's Tale. So, because it's based off of the book that she wrote. And to say that that is lazy writing, I mean, Fault in Our Stars. I mean, I could go on. There are so many first-person narrative novels that are just the most amazing books. I don't know too many books that are not first-person. I mean, I know there are plenty, but I don't personally read too many books that aren't first-person narrative. So, and I've read some really amazing books. So I don't really know how anyone could come away with first person narrative being lazy writing. I don't understand. I don't understand you. Please explain yourself. Enlighten me on how you could ever say first person narrative is lazy writing. But moving right on. Number 2. And this gets me riled up almost as much as number 1.
Writer's block doesn't exist, but writer's burnout does.
Now, yes, writer's burnout is a thing. It does exist. But writer's block is not the same thing. I feel like burned out is kind of like when you have overextended yourself so much that you're just kind of tapped out, like on a indefinite basis. I don't feel like that's the same thing as writer's block. Writer's block, and because I've had writer's block, it's why I take it so personal that someone would say it does not exist. Writer's block is when you literally just cannot write. Granted, I will say that I was going through a bout of depression when I was experiencing my writer's block. So I'm not going to say that there aren't underlying factors when someone has writer's block that might be causing that blockage. But to say that it doesn't exist, I find, me personally, really offensive. There were moments when I had an idea in my head and I just literally could stare at the screen and nothing, just emptiness. And it wasn't for lack of ideas, it wasn't for lack of desire to write. Just nothing. And you can't tell me that writer's block doesn't exist. So number one, I have to calm myself because this one is the one that makes me the most angry. And yes, I do mean angry because it's like angry. Let me direct you.
This might just be me. I feel like someone doesn't need to be a reader to be a writer. Many different forms of entertainment can inspire and motivate writers. It can also be the other way around, which is what I feel like is more commonly discussed. You don't need to read a lot to be a good writer. You can learn story structure, character development, and plotting from anything. Comics, the movies, for example. You don't have to have a vast reading library to write.
Really? Really? I think Alexa Dunn in her video said it best, and I'm gonna play a clip here. What she said.
I know you don't want to hear it, but it just remains true. If you want to write novels, books, words on the page, you have to read. You're never going to win this one. You have to read to be a writer. End of story. And if you don't, you will be a worse writer.
You cannot be an effective writer if you do not read. Point blank, period. It's just not logical to think that you could be an effective writer without reading books at all. Now, that's not to say that you have to read a book a day, a book a week, a book a month even. I'm not even saying you gotta read a lot. Because some people are slow readers. I am a slow reader. I don't read as fast as I used to, or at least I have become a slow reader. I don't read as fast as I used to, but I still read. And you might be as talented as a writer, but how do I put this? Within the writing craft, you're never not learning, or at least you should never not be learning. There are writers who, Stephen King, Margaret Atwood, there are older writers who've been writing for decades and are still learning new things. You're never not learning as a writer, but you don't learn as a writer without reading, because new writers come along all the time. New writers with a different way of doing things, a different method, a different take on something that could be of interest to you that you might take bits and pieces of, not to copy, obviously, but to learn the way someone else does it as opposed to how you've been doing it. Because if you keep doing the same thing you've been doing, eventually it gets old and it's not fresh anymore, and you need to freshen up your writing. You always need to freshen up your writing, but you do that through reading. Like, if you're writing a book, how do you research without reading? Like, I'm not understanding the logic. If you don't have, Stephen King has a quote, if you don't have the time to read, you don't have the time to write. And I know AuthorTube is hit and miss with Stephen King advice, but I think that's one of the most profound things that he has ever said. And I agree, because what are you doing if you're not reading? Then why are you writing? How did you even get into writing books if you don't read books? It baffles my mind when I see writers who say they don't read. I'm just like, that for me as a reader, I'm not even speaking as a writer, as a reader, if I pick up a book from someone who, no, I won't pick up a book from someone who wrote a book and says they don't read. I don't, yeah, I can't. If you don't read books, so how are you going to write a good book? It's just, I don't. I feel very strongly about that. I don't. It, no one's saying you have to like read ferocious. I mean, it's good if you're a ferocious reader. Don't get me wrong. I wish I could read faster. I can't. But at least read a book a year. Preferably more than one. And to say that you can learn story structure and craft, usually you tend to learn that by reading about story structure and craft. And you know what that means you have to do? Read. If I suddenly decide I want to write science fiction, I would have to actually read some science fiction. You don't just up and write science fiction and have never read any, because you could be doing it all wrong. And I don't understand how you could possibly think you can have a viable writing career without being a reader in some capacity. Not a lot. Just something. Okay, I'm done. I'm gonna go off on a tangent. I'm done. So, there you have it. Those are the 5 unpopular opinions that bothered me, slightly enraged me the most. Because, well, you saw why. I will say, to be fair, I have an unpopular opinion about writing in this community that I know probably about 90% of you, if not more, are going to strongly disagree with me on. Is that Scrivener is overrated. I'm a Microsoft Word girl. I don't even like Google Docs. Yeah, Scrivener's overrated. So I'm just gonna be fair and throw out my unpopular opinion that I know 90 to 95% of you vehemently disagree with, and I'm okay with that. So I'm gonna be fair and take the brunt of that unpopular opinion. Now there were some more unpopular opinions, regarding AuthorTube. AuthorTube being a distraction to writing. AuthorTube being about aesthetics only. Some people presenting unauthentic writing life in AuthorTube, and I mean, I don't agree with all of them, but then some of them I agree with, and then I don't think AuthorTube is a procrastination tactic. I for one have been far more productive since I have joined AuthorTube than I was before. It kind of it pushes me and motivates me, and because I don't want to sit here and film me doing absolutely nothing, I kind of have to do something. So if for nothing else, I mean, if I'm doing it for you guys, then technically that still means I'm doing something, but I'm doing it for me. But writing, having this channel has actually given me more motivation. Having you guys in the community has given me more motivation. more inspiration as well. Because when I see you guys doing well and thriving and succeeding, it's inspiring. So I don't necessarily agree with that. There's a few others, but I just wanted to do the 5 that angered me the most. And I didn't want to sit here and belabor over all of the unpopular opinions, because again, everyone's opinion they're entitled to, and even the 5 that I discussed, people are entitled to their opinions even if they are wrong. But just because I had such a visceral reaction to those, I felt like I needed to make this video for my own sake and sanity. But anyway, so that's going to be it for this video. If you like what you see and you want to see more videos from me, make sure that you hit the like and subscribe button, and let me know in the comments, what unpopular writing opinion do you have that you were maybe too afraid to share? Share it with me now. I won't judge you. I promise I won't judge you. It may seem like I would, but I won't. I promise. Because I'm pretty sure someone's going to judge me for my Scrivener's overrated opinion. But I think it is. Anyway, till next time, have a blessed day. Bye.